Hello, welcome to yet another launch webinar. I feel like we've been doing many of these this year. We've been
It's a
launching.
good thing, right?
Yeah. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good.
I'm strong. It's spring. It's sunny. I can see the outside world through my window. It's green. It's bright. And I'm going to go for a
Yeah.
walk after we do this. So feeling good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds lovely. Yeah. It is raining, so can't go for a walk, but it is warm. We'll take
It'll
that.
make everything greener when it's done. So there you go.
Yes.
Cycles of life.
All right. So joining me today is our CEO and co-founder. Hey, Jerry, how are you doing?
What's up, guys? Good.
And our VP of software, Nick.
Hey, everybody.
And me, Sahana, I'm the Chief Product Officer here, and we are going to talk about the launch that happened this morning. This is going to be a quick and short one, but we did announce a new product this morning, and we also announced some significant enhancements and improvements to our existing products. So today's conversation is all going to be about API. So let's jump right in. We launched a brand new API endpoint this morning, the Regrid Typeahead API. A Typeahead API is a simple address lookup, address validation, and autocomplete API. It's what one would call into to look up addresses. If you have incomplete addresses, if you have wonky misspelled addresses, you can look it up through this API, and you will receive, when you query these addresses, you'll receive complete, verified, validated primary and all secondary addresses, along with match location, so parcel centroids. So essentially, this is a classic geocoding solution. You input an address, you get a match location in return. This is also an example of what many of our customers might have seen when you're using any app or map, when you're using any sort of nav. You put in an address, it provides you a bunch of different suggestions matching the query that you've put in. That's exactly what an autocomplete solution does. Think of it as someone working in last mile or delivery or any like broadband, all the use cases that rely heavily on addresses, and sometimes they rely on their client data warehouses that have addresses. Many of these addresses are probably great and complete, but there will be a good chunk that will be incomplete, probably misspelled, maybe not USPS verified. And what we mean by USPS verified is a good example of that is when we order something online, and you are entering your shipping address, and then it gives you back a suggestion saying, did you mean this? Because that is a USPS verified validated address, which is more recognizable because USPS goes through this process of validating addresses and kind of standardizing them. Like what we do with parcel data, USPS has been doing that with addresses, forever. So that's what this solution would do. It would clean up addresses no matter what you enter them, and depending on how much you enter, the validity and the the matching percentage goes up. So if you just say 123, there might be millions of addresses with 123, and then you say Main Street, and then that kind of reduces and funnels through, and you can even geo-bound it by adding the city at the end, so that makes the query even more focused and targeted. And that's what this Typeahead API does. This is a great solution for anyone working with our parcel API, because not only do you start off with maybe a wonky, incomplete, misspelled address, and you get complete addresses, of course, but then you're also able to reconcile that and get to the matching parcel records. So it is the full journey, end-to-end journey, from an incomplete, not so great location-wise input to an absolute location certainty output, which is complete validated addresses and their match parcel records. Now, if you get buildings on top of it, you will not only be able to get complete validated addresses and their matching parcel records, but also the footprints that sit on those parcels. So if you're working with location intelligence projects, this is the kind of location certainty one could get with an app, like with an API like this.
And just to underscore, I mean, this is no small thing, right? I mean, there are tens and hundreds of millions of addresses around the U.S. there can be many addresses on the same parcel. They can all have different weird, freaky spelling things. And so what this product does is just make dang sure you're getting to the right place and the right parcel, even if that parcel has 200 addresses and what you have is slightly misspelled. So it really is a full solution for finding any address anywhere in the US and getting right down to that shape of land.
Yeah, especially with large commercial buildings is where something like this would be super, super useful, right? So in many cases, if you're lucky, you might have the situs address, which is the main parcel address. Yeah. But in some cases, you might just have like a unit level address. And you query that, and not only do you get the primary situs address, but you will also get the rest of the secondary addresses. So you can actually see how many units there might be in that building, how many more deliverable points there are for folks who work in delivery. So that's what we launched. This product was made possible because we launched just a few months ago our Parcels plus Math secondary address product, which gave us access to all known addresses in the United States. So 177 million addresses now sit in our database. This includes 139 million situs addresses that we already have in our parcel data. That's the main address of a parcel, and all the additional secondary addresses attached to those parcels. And because of that, we now actually sit on a universe of 300 million addresses. And those 300 million addresses have become queryable through this Typeahead API, which makes finding addresses very easy, and then going from that address to the parcel record even better. Let me do a quick demo of this. So this demo will actually show what it would. So let me actually first screen share, and then we can talk about embedding this into your own UI.
It's a big lift. And for anybody who wants to nerd out with the team about address stuff, there's a lot to talk about with it, right? There's the situs addresses, there's the secondary addresses, there's the redundant add-ons of additional addresses for various misspellings. It's a huge thing. So
yeah. So what you're seeing here is a quick demo site we put up. This is being powered by the Typeahead API right now. So this API can also be used to integrate into your own apps, technical stacks, and maps. So what you can do is, by using this API, you can create a similar search UI on your own app. So let me start with, any guesses what address this is?
Something Cisco, yeah.
Yeah, this is the Transamerica Pyramid. So this is so you could see, like, it just took a few clicks to get all of the suggestions. And what you see here is the primary secondary relationship. So you will see the primary first, which is the situs address. This is the main address. That is the address you would find in the Regrid parcel data. And then these are all the additional secondary addresses. Now, see, if you see, there are floor level addresses, there is an address for the basement, there are suite level addresses. That's the granularity one would get with the secondary addresses. And by plugging in the Typeahead, you're able to see all of this and more. So that was for a large building, obviously has many secondary addresses. If I try a single family, now you can see there are so many other, like, it picks up with this, but this is the most matching one. You'll see no secondary addresses because it's a single family home. And then if I tried our old, again, you'll see many matching addresses. So as you can see, there's no way to geo-bound it at an address level, but as you start typing more, that's how you geo-bound it. So if I actually make this 4th Street, Detroit, then it will actually only show this. And again, you'll see the primary first and then all the suite. This is an office building, so of course it has many different unit level addresses. But this is a quick demo of how powerful the Typeahead API can be in quick address lookup, address validation. And this is what your UI would look like. So it's a great user experience for your customers. And you can see
that's fast. I'm just pointing
out
that's fast.
Yeah.
And, it was like, whenever you're demoing stuff, just honestly, there's always like, all right, the typing is going to begin. Like, I hope this works. It just works quick. It's a great experience for people who use it, right? That's querying this entire 300 million, address data set and bringing stuff back that quickly. So, yeah.
So we just put in a link to the launch blog today. So take a look at that. It has all the information on the launch, but I will also add links to our Typeahead API and the documentation so you can learn more about it. this API can be bundled with any of our parcel schemas. So if you can get the standard schema, premium schema, but if you want to see all of the secondary address, like be able to like go back and see each one of those records, then you can get the match secondary address bundled with the parcels as well. So yeah, so that was the this seems very easy, but this required months of work because it's search, and search is never easy, right? So the search index had to be routinely and consistently by our CTO Larry, who has been working on this for months to make the latency as good, but also the quality and the accuracy this sharp.
Yeah, and if I can just underline something there too, it's like that is a hard problem to solve by itself to make that work well. But then on the other end of the rainbow, you also get the parcel geometry and all the property attributes, right? So it really is like, if you're doing address stuff, this is really an option for you to expand your understanding of what is going on at this address by getting that geometry, the building footprints, etc. So.
Yeah. So reach out to us if you want a token for this and our parcel API. Our email is parcels@regrid.com. All right. So moving on, since we're talking about parcel API, the Typeahead was not the only thing we launched today. So we launched a bunch of improvements to our existing parcel API. Now, just a quick, 101 into API. API is, in layman's terms, a simple and easy way to stream and feed our parcel data directly into your tech stack, your apps, and your, all of your tools that you're working with without actually having to work with the bulk files yourself. So if you're not looking at a large data warehousing team and would like to feed this directly, you're just streaming it. Think of it like a streaming service, and you're just streaming all of the data into your tools. And our parcel API is our parcel records lookup API. So it has all of our 152 plus million parcel records. And you can look up through a bunch of different fields to get to the parcel records that you're looking for. So technically, for some context into what we've actually improved on the parcel API, our parcel API until this morning was queryable by all of the usual suspects, right? The main identifiers of a parcel record, which is the APN parcel ID, our UUID, the Regrid UUID, which is the persistent, stable, universal, unique ID that we have created to keep them apart and keep them consistent. It is searchable by owner name, searchable by polygon, so you can search by an area. Was also searchable by lat long, which is reverse geocoding, and then was searchable by address. But as with any data product, we want our data to be queryable by many of the fields that's in our schema. So that was something that we've been consistently asked for. There was huge demand for wanting to query the API by many more relevant contextual fields in our standardized schema, and that's rightfully so, right? Like the fields we had that were queryable were actually the first ones you would go for. Those were the most unique identifiers that we have for the parcel ID. But for certain use cases, you will need a lot more. So that's what we went ahead and we did just that for this launch. So we made our schema a lot more queryable for on the API. And we started off with like the most relevant, the most requested, most contextual, most valuable fields. So right now our API is queryable by acreage. And that's been asked for a lot for site selection use cases, because for site selection, one needs to begin with a certain size of land. Think of installing windmills, for instance, or your next plant if you're in the utilities business. So acreage was highly requested, but also fields and attributes that we have in our schema that are that indicate and provide deeper understanding into what's happening on the property. So the residential indicator, which shows if a property is residential or not. Vacancy indicator. All of our land use codes. We have 5 dimensions. We use a multidimensional LBCS classification. So that provides deeper understanding on what's happening. So if you're looking for only residential, for instance, household, or if you're looking for agricultural properties, buildings count per parcel, then sale price, sale date, zoning, of course, on what's happening on the property, and then land value. What this means is this is a great start to being able to query the API by many more fields. So this was a really good subset to get started with. We also provide state and szip, so you can actually restrict the geography by which you're going to query. But you can continue as we see more use cases, we can actually open up more of our fields to be queryable by the API. But these were the most relevant and most requested, and we think that there will be a lot of use for our API through this.
No, it's great. And for the size, it's not even just like a specific size. It's like above or below you can do, right? So it's like you're looking for smaller than or larger than. So you don't need to be like, only 5-acre parcels, please. You might find 0 because there's 5.02 acres, whatever. So you can do these things to find within ranges. Yeah.
Yeah, let me actually quickly screen share. So that's the other thing that really opened up for us with this launch is we made granular search operators. So because a lot of the fields that we suddenly opened up are a combination of string, text, numeric, which meant that we needed to support many more operators. So people would want to search by a range, by greater than, less than, or have an exact number. And as you can see, we actually now support possibly every queryable operator there is. So it just makes the API more robust and very flexible, and hopefully should be able to pretty much serve every use case there is that requires an API for parcel data.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the launch.
Cool. Yeah, every current API customer that we have, reach out about these things. And then for those who've not used our API yet, just another reason to check it out. Honestly, we could not make it much easier to just get set up, to get trial tokens and just make sure that this setup works for you. And now with these new ways to query with stuff, there's just more you can do with this. So we want to make this from being impossible to get at this kind of land information to now just making it so drop dead easy that it should just be a part of the tools that you use if you're looking at land and property stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you are wondering what the API can do, you can check out our mapping platform, our mobile app. The data that you see there is also fed into it through the parcel API and our tile server. You see our tiles there.
This is the part where we get to say not only are we a spokesman, we're also a client because we use our own API in our own app. We're very familiar with it. We know that it works at scale with hundreds of thousands of people looking up property information all the time. So it's we're fans of it ourselves. So we'll make sure it's working well for you.
Yeah, Nick is the end user. Those are Nick's products that Nick manages. We'll have a couple of big launches coming up for those products. Nick, you're saying?
Yeah, no, I was, yes, we do. And also, yeah, I mean, I feel like we're really at a good point with with the tile server. The parcel API improvements that we've just made here are really huge. But I feel like all the stuff that we've been doing on the API this year has really made it very persuasive to do the thing. It's easy to say oh yeah, we have an API, and if you want to jump through these hoops, you can get the thing you need. But all these different search operators are huge, right? In terms of actually just being able to plug in what you want and get back what you want fast. So I'm all about it, and yeah, we love it on the platform too.
Yeah, and we've actually put in a lot of work. Some of it is not visible because they're not features, but we've actually improved the performance of our API significantly in the past year. We have a status page. You can find it on the footer on regrid.com. But if you go to our status page, you'll see, we've had an uptime of 99.95% for as long as I can remember on the API. So it's been pretty significant.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of the API, of course, has been used to feed into the platform and the mobile app. But Jerry, I think we should jump in a little bit about another unique way our API was used recently.
Yeah, this is just a fun one that we want to see more people, something we want to see more people doing with the API. So, usually you think the API and parcel data and property information, we're used to 2D maps or lists of things, right? Databases, 2D map views. And, but spatial computing is becoming an area that's more popular and more invested in. So things like augmented reality, virtual reality, 3 dimensions, just different ways of seeing spatial data. So earlier this year, we reached out to an augmented reality firm called Gravity Jack. And we basically said, do you think it would be possible to take our parcel API and visualize land boundaries, land information in an augmented reality app? So hold up your phone viewer, put on your fancy AR headset, look around the world and actually see property boundaries superimposed. And the answer that we got is absolutely yes. And not only did we get the answer, but we actually worked on a project with them. We just published a blog post you can get to at regrid.com/AR. And that has a short video with a bunch of clips of looking at property boundaries and property information with the boundaries overlaid on the real world. I went out and personally visited a bunch of different kinds of properties and looked at stuff from different points of view. And I think the moral of the story is that by plugging the API into that kind of an app, you immediately and easily actually get a nationwide augmented reality ready spatial data set. It works the same everywhere with no additional work. And that was kind of mind blowing. Like we knew theoretically that's how it should be, but to have a team like Gravity Jack plug that into an AR kit and then go, yep, it's working in Spokane, Washington. Yep, it's working in Detroit, Michigan. Yep, it's working in Fresno, California. And have it be that simple so that all you need to do is then work on the styling and how you want to present the information and things like that is just super cool. And it's just another example of how the API can be used to do creative, interesting things. So.
Yeah, and we just dropped the link to the blog, and that also has a quick demo. We'll also be releasing the video of the podcast that Jerry hosts, Living in the Map. Yeah, that goes out this Friday.
Yeah, she mentioned that too. I'm too shy. Yeah, so I had a great conversation with Jennifer Ritchie from Gravity Jack, and we talked about their firm, augmented reality, the project we worked on. So just kind of long form conversations with interesting people in the space is what I do with Living in the Map. So yeah, check it out.
All right. So with all the links in place, I want to quickly use the next 30 seconds to talk about the few upcoming things. We will have another big launch coming up at the end of this month. We are in launch galore here right now in Regrid. And then we'll also be attending and exhibiting in person at the Esri User Conference in July in San Diego. So if any of you is attending, please let us know. We would love to meet you in person. Stop by at our booth, get a demo of all the things that we have here. But we'll just have a good conversation. So we'll have a bunch of people representing the team there, including Jerry.
That's going to be crazy. I was so trippy to buy plane tickets for that the other day. Like I've probably seen 6 people in person in the last 2 years, and there's like 18 in there. So it's that'll be something.
Yeah, it'll take some getting used to the in-person events, but we are officially in that market again. So it's exciting to be there to be able to do that. And then Nick, do you want to quickly talk about, without giving too much away, just a quick teaser on the app after that?
Yeah. So the diplomatic version, I think, is we've got some really interesting stuff cooking on the app. We've been working on a few things. We really did like what I thought was a really persuasive strategic planning process at the end of last year, and out of that came some pretty key, I think, takeaways that we've been working to implement. And so I think, like, again, without like either over or underselling, I think basically what we're aiming at here is to have a new version of the app that does things that we hear people saying they want more. Sort of like expands the audience of people who are interested in using the app, and also just making life better for the people who just want to have the app on their phone and use it in the context of sort of like seeing more about the world around them.
Yeah.
So, excited to be able to say more than that. Sort of like
the only thing I'll add is a teaser on there. Pop. We're going pop. That's how I put it. Up to you to figure out what that means. World, but we're going.
Yeah, let us know on social media and comments what you think that might be. Until then, if you haven't downloaded, download the mobile app so you'll actually see the change that's coming. It's a significant change. All right, with that, I think we should end. And since Nick and I have not fully watched Stranger Things, the latest season, we cannot really talk about it. But let's make sure on the next webinar we should have watched it by then, so we can talk about it.
That's
let me know if you want me to ruin anything for you. Mary and I just finished it last week. I feel bad because I'll just say that it was very enjoyable. Once again, as Stranger Things tends to hit that, nostalgic 80s, horror fun, thing. But I was upset when it was over. It was like, where's the next episode? Oh, you know what they are doing though? So they're actually having 7 more episodes, or at least like another half of the season come out July 1st. So this season is not actually what aired is not all of it. Yeah, so it's kind of unique. There were 7 episodes, and then there's a month break, and then there's 7 more. So when you guys finish it, you can start again. It'll be like Stranger Things, Sisyphus. That'll be
like the Harry Potter movie approach to the season.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, oh my God, the pace at which I'm watching the current one, I feel like I might just catch up everything in the July version, but we'll see. All right. Thanks for joining. We'll be back with some more updates at the end of this month.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.